Dragonskull, Fury of the Barbarians, by Jonathan Moeller, narrated by Brad Wills. Chapter 1. The Old Shaman. Gareth Arban wasn't sure this had been a good idea. He knew the logic they had followed, of course. The Karzaluskan forest was vast, so large that no living man of Andomhaim knew its exact bounds. Gareth could sense the second waystone somewhere northeast, and while he didn't know exactly where it was, he was certain it was a long distance off. It was entirely possible the next waystone was beyond the bounds of the Karzaluskan forest, in the lands of a tribe or nation who called themselves the Norvangir. Gareth and his companions knew a little about the Karzaluskan orcs, but nothing at all about the Norvangir. Indeed, until the chieftain Kalor had spoken of the Norvangir, Gareth had never heard the name before. Given the known and unknown dangers they faced, a guide was welcome, perhaps even necessary. Gareth knew all this, had told himself it again and again. All that said, he wasn't sure joining Mralask's caravan to the Norvangir had been the best idea. Still, it had worked out so far. The tribes of the Karzaluskan forest often warred against one another, sometimes for the usual reasons of land and cattle and pride, and sometimes because the omens of the Lord of Bones decreed it. Despite that, shamans and pilgrims to shrines of Karzalask were held sacrosanct and could travel between the territory of the various tribes without harassment. In Andomhaim, feuding lords might battle one another, but they dared not attack priests and churches, partly for fear of God's wrath, and partly because it would give opportunistic neighbors a perfect excuse to strike. A similar principle seemed to govern the shamans of the Bone Orcs, who guarded their prerogatives jealously and defended them with powerful spells of dark magic. Mralask was a shaman of Karzalask, but he seemed more interested in trading and bargaining than in the rights of the Lord of Bones. The old shaman's caravan, Gareth had to admit, was well organized. Mralask traveled in the company of 50 orcish warriors. Gareth gathered that most of them were outcasts from their tribes for various reasons and had entered Mralask's employ. The shaman had a small mob of cobalt mercenaries that he used as scouts and outriders. They screened the passage of the caravan through the forest, watching for any foes. Several long trains of mules bore bags of trade goods. Of course, the undead carried most of Mralask's merchandise. More undead orcs marched in the caravan than living ones. Gareth had grown used to the constant chemical reek that surrounded the creatures. He had been surprised and a little disturbed to see the practical use to which the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?